Sports Video Group is in Los Angeles at our inaugural Esports Production Forum. Brandon Costa is here with you from SVG. We have the pleasure now to be joined by Robert Occhialini from Turner Sports, ELEAGUE. He's one of our keynote speakers tonight. Robert, thanks so much for making the trip out here and for being a part of this.
Yeah, it's great. It's well attended. A lot of people here talking about great stuff. I really had fun so far.
That's great. We're happy to hear that. So it's really interesting to see what you guys are involved in. We're talking a lot and leaning a lot into, obviously, the production of telling the story of esports. And you're responsible for a lot of things as kind of technology and products. But when it comes to specifically to some things that you guys have developed or worked more closely with, what are some things that you guys have done at ELEAGUE that you think have helped tell the story of an esports event better?
Well, I mean, the first thing that I'm the most proud of is the work we've done with EyeTracking. Finding a way to integrate EyeTracking into the competitive environment without impacting gameplay or the player experience, but then also being able to use that EyeTracking to tell the story of a round or the story of a game from the player's perspective. What do they consider? Really getting at intent in a way that you can't in traditional sports.
Okay.
Really excited about it. And then another thing that we've been working on a lot in the last couple of months has been bringing sports science to esports, right? So, you know, what I always say is somebody competing in one of these games looks the same as someone working on a spreadsheet or they're sitting in front of a computer. And with traditional sports, I know I can't dunk a basketball. I know I can't run as fast as an NFL running back, but that eye test isn't present in esports. And so we've been trying to find interesting ways to tell that story about how unique and special these guys are in a way that will be accessible to people that don't necessarily spend 40 hours a week playing the game. And so we've started to do things like reaction time testing, visual acuity testing, and we've kind of built a pipeline of partners that are going to come in, and when we do studio days, they're going to integrate with what we do on media day during car wash to really try and tell the story of how special these guys are. And the early results are amazing. You know, with the Street Fighter tournament that we did this summer and Counter-Strike that we did after that, we did pretty in-depth testing on the players and discovered that their visual acuity is as good as the top 10% of Major League Baseball players. So I think those are two examples, EyeTracking and the sports science stuff, of things that we're doing that kind of nobody else has really done, that show that we're trying to put a different lens on things, finding a different way to tell the story of esports.
Yeah, and giving it that context. So like you said, if you can tell someone that, then it means something to the even the average viewer. You do have a background in kind of traditional sports, if you will, working in the Turner family, baseball, college, NBA basketball, golf. In that transition, what's that been like? And maybe what's something you've learned along the way, either that you've brought to esports or you've taken from traditional sports and brought to esports?
Well, I mean, the first thing I'll say is I come by my love of gaming honestly, right? Okay. Like, spend a lot of time, even now, spend a lot of time playing. But I would say that the biggest thing is they're very different challenges, right? In one of the sessions this morning, they were talking about the games are made of data, right? And so there's all this promise there where with traditional sports, you know, for the NBA, for instance, they have people sitting at the court and they're logging everything that happens. But the record of what happened is the video of the game and what those people logged, and that's all there is, right? With esports, there is data that may or may not be recorded depending on the game that represents everything that's done. And I guess the challenge is how do you tap into that data and make something meaningful out of it that's more fun than like reading a spreadsheet, which is what a box score feels like sometimes, right? Not to beat up on spreadsheets too much.
We're just killing spreadsheets right now. Google Docs down.
That's what this whole interview's about. No spreadsheets.
All right, Robert. Well, thank you again so much for being here. We really appreciate you sharing your expertise, and enjoy yourself, all right?
Thanks.
All right. For more of Sports Video Group's coverage of this Esports Production Forum, you can visit us online at sportsvideo.org.